Yeah, I will.
Okay, so welcome everybody to Increasing Car Count, Making Every Car Count. My name is Kelly the Coach, and I think most of you know me, at least the people online, and of course some new people that I saw that signed up that I'm not familiar with their address. So what's really nice for me is to hear from people that I hadn't spoken to in many, many years back in the U.S. A guy named Jim. Hello, Jim. Jim was in a management group that I ran in Tidewater, Virginia, many years ago. Anyway, so what I decided to do is talk about increasing car count. And there's no question about it. This, just for the record of people listening to the recording, this is being recorded in February of 2018 with a heavy emphasis on February because many people find that February sucks. I've had people say that they'd like to take February out of the entire calendar. In Canada, at least, in the cold places, we go absolutely nuts in November because people are putting on their winter tires, and that tends to be the highest sales month of the year. However, I've tracked it, and it tends to be not quite the lowest, but very much close to the lowest gross profit of the entire year because there's not a whole lot of gross profit in swapping out tires. I want to say something about tires, by the way. It certainly can increase your car count, increase your car count and make every car count. And even though that the GP on tires is, we're looking for 30%. Most people are, between 25 and 30. So when you look at it, the gross profit on tires is not necessarily great. But I've done a calculation called the hourly gross profit. And when you look at the gross profit for hours on tires, it's actually really substantial. So one way of increasing or making every car count, I should say, is to sell tires. I think everybody should sell tires, but you need to sell them at a desired gross profit, which we believe is 30%. I've talked to people even this week. How they've done it is they simply add $20 to any tire they buy, or they add $30 to every tire, and that's all. And I disagree with that. There's no incentive to sell people a different tire, a better tire. And the better the tire is, the more they pay us, the more gross profit should be. Just because we sold more expensive tires and we still only made $30, well, we'd make the same if we sold them some really inexpensive tires. So I'm going to start with some video clips from a session that I did, extremely professionally well done. And it was done by Canadian Technician and Magazine in Canada, I should say. And what we did is we went to a studio, and with a green screen, we decided to shoot all of these, and then they were professionally edited. And to let you know, and I can tell you I have no idea why you're automatically seeing this, because that part doesn't make sense. If it doesn't usually, if for any reason you are not able to hear what's going on here, I'm going to ask you to let me know, just to let you know that I do mute myself in the background, so you'll hear the video without any comment from me. So again, Patty, if there's anything that you need to let me know about the sound or the quality, I'm just going to start it here. And I'm assuming everybody can hear that. I just want to verify that everybody's hearing the music. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's let it go.
Thank you for purchasing Increasing Car Count. After 25 years of training, and I've trained tens of thousands of people, I've realized that a lot of people, one of their biggest interests, one of their biggest needs is to increase car count. The economy is cyclical, it changes, needs change. Increasing car count is something that is incredibly important, but as an introduction to that, I just want to take a big look at the big picture before we get into the detail. In reality, there's four focuses that you need in marketing your business, and everything you do from a marketing perspective will fall under these four things. Number one is to bring in new customers, and the bulk of what we're going to talk about in this course is how to get people to your shop who've never been there before. Number two is one I think we don't think about enough, and that is to get people back more often, increasing car count by simply getting customers who are already customers back to our shop more often. Some customers are only seeing us once a year or twice a year, maybe three. Our goal is to have them at least four.
Okay, I just want to ask, because it looks a little bit delayed on my phone. Is it choppy?
Not choppy, but it is a little bit delayed.
Okay, but you can hear it okay, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If they drive a lot like a salesperson who may need an oil change every 5 months, then that's the exception. We want to see those people more often, of course. But for the most part, we want to see our customers 4 times a year. So number 2 is, how do we get people to come back more often? It's not increasing customer count per se, but it's increasing car count from our customers. The third is how to create packages to be able to create a higher invoice on average. The average shop only sells 1.2 hours per repair order. Now, I've seen shops that are as high as 5 and 6. That's the exception, not the rule. But our goal is 3 hours per repair order. So sometimes increasing car count isn't necessarily about getting another vehicle to the shop, but in reality is a vehicle that's there today, finding work that we may not have found till next time, or finding work. And I've experienced it where I go to a repair shop at the end of the day and they say, you know, here's other work we found that needs to be done. And I'll say, well, why didn't you call me? We could have had it done today. So in reality, that is increasing car count. If the work is done today, all you're doing is taking my next visit and putting it in today, which is helpful for me as a customer because I really don't have the time to come back in a few weeks. I would rather have just done it today. Number 4 is increasing gross profit. That's the opportunity to actually see more gross profit in a sale. Just because a sale increased and we went from $50 in an invoice to $75 doesn't mean that our gross profit increased by that $25. In reality, if we make the deal so compelling, we can actually collect more dollars but actually reduce the gross profit. I've seen many shops where sales went up but gross profit came down. And sometimes people will do that to increase car count, and that's not what we're going to be talking about in this video. We don't want to charge a lot less to get busier. Increasing gross profit is what we're looking at on number 4, not decreasing gross profit to try to make it up in volume. When I originally wrote this workshop, it was called 21 Ways to Increase Car Count, and I thought that was a bit of a stretch. But over the years, I've added more, and I've learned from people. I've learned from a lot of shop owners and getting creative. And a lot of our classes will ask people, what have you found that's worked? So a lot of these things you're going to learn are not just ideas. Sometimes people at the end of a class will say those are good ideas. They're better than ideas. They're not just things I thought about flying here and thinking, throw this out to you and hope it works. What you're going to see in this video class is 65 ways that do work. We're talking about people who are doing these things and they're having great results with them. Pay attention to the big picture. Sometimes we get so caught up in detail, 65 things in this case, that we lose sight of what we were trying to accomplish in the first place. Obviously, you're trying to increase your sales, but you can increase your sales without increasing your bottom line. So what we're looking at doing here is increasing sales, yes, but at the same time increasing gross profit and increasing net profit. You went into this business to make money. It's what you do for a living. It's not a hobby. It's not a charity. It's a business. And I want to encourage you as you go through this, again, make a list of the ones that you're going to implement. You're going to learn a lot of great ideas. Some of them might seem a little out there for you. Take note of them. Again, we're looking at things that actually do work. They're beyond ideas. They're proven things that people are doing. I want to encourage you to go back, implement. Training does not increase the success of your business. Implementation of the training increases the success of your business. So make sure that you give yourself time after the course is done to put together a plan so you can make sure that you implement all the things that you need to increase your sales, increase your gross profit, and probably more important, your bottom line. So let's take a look at the 65.
Okay, so just to let you know, again, this was done in studio as 65 ways to increase car count. And in this one session, I decided to combine it with the other topic of making every car count. And again, a lot of people, they don't have a problem increasing car count, or they don't have a car count problem, I should say. They have a problem making every car count. And so just to let you know, there are a couple things that occurred to me as I was going through this. I recall something I used to say in sessions years ago that I kind of forgot about, but one of my favorite clients, Norfolk, Virginia, would say that it's better to do less for more than more for less. In other words, it's better to do less work for more money than more work for less money. And I see a lot of people who are busy. I had a fellow who wanted to take this workshop live. He's tried 3 times and he's just way too busy. Tonight he had to do some other stuff. And if you're that busy, something's wrong. And maybe the focus is on pricing instead of making every car count. And so I wanted to just bring that out. Again, it's better to do less for more than more for less. To let you know, each of the 30 or so ways that I'm going to show you tonight, I'm going to send you those links individually so that you can actually watch those online. And so you can do that instead. And I just learned something, Patty, that I'll show you the next time we have one of our meetings. Just so you know, Patty's in our management group. One of my favorites is the taxi driver certificates. And this needs to be explained because if, and again, the volume might be too high, so you can just turn it down on your computer or phone, whatever. Taxi drivers is not about getting taxis to your business. That could be hugely detrimental.
Without a doubt, one of my favorite ways to increase car count is what we call the taxi driver certificate, and we've all seen it happen. The customer pulls up in the morning, another car pulls up behind. Your customer comes in, you explain the deal to them, they sign, they give you the keys, they get out to that car, and they drive away. Who is that person? Coworker, aunt, uncle, friend, somebody took it upon themselves to drive their friend to your repair shop. The question is, what can you do to get that second car 12 feet further into your bay? So we recommend that you have a certificate, maybe $25. We recommend $25. $5 would be an insult. And you simply say to the customer, we really appreciate dropping you off today. Who is that? It's my friend Dan. If you wouldn't mind giving this to Dan, we really appreciate the fact that he drove it. One of my clients, Charles, what he did I thought was even more creative, and it's a good idea. Now, you don't have to do it this way. I mean, one of the benefits the other way is Dan's going to get into the car and say, hey, look what they did. They gave me this $25 certificate, and as they're driving off to work, they're probably going to talk about the shop. But Charles wanted to do it in a more personal way, so he asks the customer, who dropped you off today? Well, that's Bob, my coworker. And Charles takes it upon himself to go out to the vehicle, and he said, hey, thank you for dropping off Dan. Dan's a great guy. We've been working on his Honda for the last 5 years. We appreciate you bringing him in. Here's a $25 certificate. I see that you drive a Toyota. In fact, one of our technicians is one of the best Toyota technicians in the country. So if you ever want to come in and have some service done, here's a $25 certificate. And again, thank you for dropping off Dan today. We really appreciate that. And a lot of times that person becomes a customer because they didn't realize that you worked on Toyotas or that your specialty, and you want to brag about your shop at the same time. We've got a 24-month, 24,000-mile warranty, and maybe that's on the $25 certificate. The idea is to sell your shop to the person who's the taxi driver for your customer.
Okay, so I'd like to say just quickly that the camera adds 25 pounds, just for the record. And this works extremely well. Just to let you know, thanks, Patty. Just to let you know, I'm going to be sending you samples of many of these things as we go through. So the taxi driver certificate is really simple. It's a business card size, and you simply bring that out to your customer. I want to take a look at another one of my favorites. One of my group clients, some of you know, he has a wonderful repair shop in Canada, which, marketing has a lot to do with their company name, and he works on Volkswagens, and the name of the shop is the old Volkshome. But he said, I watched these, Kelly, and every one of them is your favorite, which is a bit of an exaggeration, but I am going to select my favorites tonight.
By a long shot, my absolute favorite way to increase car count is pre-booking that customer's next appointment. Dentists don't send you a reminder or make a phone call that says you need to make an appointment. They contact us and let us know we already made an appointment. Lots of industries pre-book appointments. Hairdressers, you want to make sure you're getting the same person each time that you go. Lots of people are planning their lives better than they ever have before. Car maintenance is something that's not on our minds because we're so busy doing other things. So we want to take the professionalism and let the customer know we've taken it upon ourselves. We want to make sure that you don't go over in the oil changes because your car is going to last longer. I've been in a lot of shops where they have a business card and on the back it says your next appointment is, and they hardly ever use it. We want that customer coming back. Too often what we do is the customer's in, at the end of the day, we give them the receipt, the keys, they give us the money, and we say, see you next time. What does that mean? What that really means is the next time your car breaks down, hopefully you're close to us and you can bring the vehicle to us. How do we know that vehicle has to come back? Because it's a car and it needs to be maintained and it needs to be repaired. So all we need to do is take a look at the customer's history and say, we noticed that you need an oil change every 7 weeks, so we've gone ahead and made that appointment for you. We will be calling you in advance. Now, some people are really concerned about that. They think they're selling timeshares or being too strong with the customer. My favorite approach, and there's lots, but my favorite is to have toothbrushes at your shop that have your company name on them. At the end of the day, I hand the customer the toothbrush after I've given them the invoice, the whole deal that you do, and they look at it and go, what's with the toothbrush? You say, we're like the dentist, instant education. We've gone ahead and made your next appointment. And then you need to sell it, but soft sell it. It's not in stone, it's not in pen, it's only in pencil, whatever you feel comfortable about. But the key is to do it consistently every single time.
Okay, so I do want to add to that. So since this is recorded, there's another option that I've seen somebody take, and I do want to point it out to you. And again, just for the record, I could go into really long detail on just each of these further than that. Again, one of the reasons I'm showing the video so is that I get through as many of these as possible. But one of these clients, what he decided to do, instead of saying your appointment is, telling them the date out, what he would do is every single time, not once in a while, not when you think about it, every single time. It takes time to form that habit. They say it takes 21 days to form a habit. But if you take a card, and again, I'm going to send you a sample of this as well, and all it says is your next appointment is the week of. Every single time a person leaves your shop, you should never say to them, we'll see you next time. What does we'll see you next time mean? That means the next time your car breaks down, hopefully you're close to us and you'll come in and see us. A lot of people come to us when they need to. Something's already wrong, which means it's usually grunt work instead of gravy work. Maintenance is sold and repairs are bought. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is to always make that next appointment. And just to let you know, I wrote an article recently called The Commuter's Oil Change. And it basically, some research I did that shows that if you're in an area where people do a lot of commuting, in Canada, there's some, Vancouver's the highest in Canada, just for the record. Los Angeles is the highest in the US. People will spend up to 80 hours a year just idling their car. We're not talking about 80 hours of commute time. We're talking about 80 hours of that commute sitting idling, where the engine's moving or turning and the wheels are not. And so that means the person needs more oil changes per year. I've done the math. If a car idles for 1 hour, that is equal to 25 miles or 40 kilometers of driving. So with your customers who commute a lot, and you can simply ask, how much do you commute? The other thing I think is kind of neat that you can do is many cars, as you know, trucks especially, Ford has done it for years, you can go in and see how many hours are on the engine. And I think, wouldn't it be neat if the repair shop you go to says, by the way, since the last time you were here, you drove 5,000 kilometers or 3,000 miles, but you also put this many engine hours on there. So I think it's kind of neat to be able to do that. And then you can say, based on engine hours and how much you drive, we're going to recommend that you get an oil change every 5 weeks or every 8 weeks or whatever the math works out to. And we've already gone and made an appointment for you for the week of March 8th till the whatever, 15th. Always give them a range of a week. So it's not like they have to look at their calendar and go, oh, I don't know where I'm going to be that day. All they know is that it's the week of, and you simply let them know that you're going to call them the week before. So I want to encourage you, every single time a customer leaves your shop, that is stapled to it. And it sounds simple that it's stapled, but I know what it's like. It takes guts. It takes some intestinal fortitude, as we'd say, to say, Patty, the next time your appointment is this on this date. Again, like I mentioned in the video, we're not selling timeshares here. This is not a hard sell. But I find a lot of people are reluctant to ask. And by the way, the biggest mistake people make is asking, not telling. If I ask you, if I say, would you like to make an appointment for March 8th? You go, I don't know, I'll let you know. Oh, I tried that and it didn't work. I mean, you say to somebody, your appointment's, April the 8th. And they go, well, I don't know where I'm going to be on April 8th. I recommend you look right at them and say, I know exactly where you're going to be April 8th. You're going to be standing right here giving me some money. Okay, that's a joke, but you wouldn't do that. But when you say the week of, that simply is a non-threat. And I can tell you from shops that do exactly that, you will have people that say, oh, okay, and walk out the door. And then you need a system in place. You can use Google Calendar or your shop management system or whatever it is. And then you have an opportunity to, pre-book that appointment and then call them in advance. I want to do another one here that's kind of fun, and it's called the Pizza Donut Popcorn Program. And by the way, what I suggest that you do is write these down as we go through, and then later on go back and prioritize them. Are you going to do all 65? No. Nobody's going to do all 65. Some of these you're going to already be doing. some of these maybe you started doing and stopped doing for whatever reason. That's human nature. But what I want to encourage you to do is plan this in advance. In our management group, we actually have a planner for the entire year, and we know what promotion we're going to do depending on the time of the year and what the promotion is. So this one's called the Donut Pizza Popcorn Program. And in this case, I suggest that you choose about 2 businesses a week. Make a list of them in advance so that you know up this coming week you're going to deal with whatever 2 businesses locally.
A really cool way to increase your car count, and again, one of my favorites, is what we call the Donut Pizza Popcorn Program. I mean, do you know anybody who doesn't like donuts or pizza or popcorn? And what you do is select local businesses. We're not talking about fleets here. We're talking about an opportunity to repair the vehicles of people who work close to you. It's a lot easier to get your car repaired close to where you work than where you live, especially if you've got a shuttle service. So let's say there's a hotel in your area. How many people work at that hotel? Who knows, maybe 30, 40, 50. Well, most of them drive cars. So what you want to do is select probably 2 businesses a week, and it depends on the time of the day. If it's the morning, of course, you'll bring in donuts. If it's lunchtime, maybe you'll bring some pizzas, and in the afternoon, maybe some popcorn, whatever it is that you choose to do. The idea is to bring it in and say, you know, we're a local business, we're neighbors, in fact, and we wanted to provide you with a coffee break item today, or we wanted to provide you with lunch. So now's an opportunity for these people to be eating the donuts out of a box that actually has your information on it, maybe some business cards. I had a fellow one time that he actually had his own pizza boxes printed. So when somebody is on lunch and they go, well, who paid for the pizza today? Who bought the pizza? Oh, it was Elite Auto Service. It's right there on the box. You've got some business cards in there. The idea, again, is to select a couple businesses a week. It could be a bank. Again, it could be a store. It could be an accounting office. It could be the DMV. The idea is to choose at least 2 businesses a week, target them maybe a 5-kilometer, 5-mile radius around your shop. The whole idea is to get people who work close to where you repair cars, let them know you have a shuttle service. So in the morning, drop off the vehicle at Elite, we'll get you it, shuttle you to work, and at the end of the day, we'll pick you up, bring you right back. So the idea is to get employees of businesses that are close to you to get their car repaired at your shop.
Okay, so that's one's really self-explanatory. But I just want to say I've watched that several times, and this is the first time it
fellow one time that he actually had
made me hungry. Okay, again, there's 65 of these. I want to choose I'm going to go with this one. And sometimes, you know, people will compare your price to somebody else, and that's like comparing the price of a laptop. I mean, I bought a laptop a few years ago. It was $1,800, and somebody said, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You can buy them at, you know, at Shoppers Drug Mart for $300." Yeah, it's not the same thing. Good stuff ain't cheap, cheap stuff ain't good. And it could be the same thing with repairs. So you don't want to always compete. One of my favorites is a fellow in one of our management groups, Phil. And people will say, but can't I buy tires cheaper? And he says, absolutely. No question you can. And they look at him like, what? And then he goes on and explains, we're going to do it while it's here. You don't have to go there. You don't have to wonder what you're going to do with your car. And we provide quality service, and we've got a 24-month, 24,000-mile warranty. So you want to sell what you do that's different than somebody else. And I don't mean we run down the competition and say, well, over there they do this. Don't tell people what other people don't do. Tell them what you do. And we recommend that you have the absolute best warranty in the area. And I'll just let this video speak for itself.
One of the most effective things that I've seen done, and one of the most implemented as well because it's easy, is to offer the absolute best warranty in the area. 12,000 kilometers, 12,000 miles is very standard. In fact, you can phone some places and it's a 6,000 mile or 6,000 kilometer 6-month warranty. Here's an opportunity to give value to your customer, but you know what? Even more importantly, possibly, is to justify it to yourself. We recommend 50% gross profit on parts. Some people say, I can't do that. So if you're going to go from 32 to 50 or 48 to 50, to justify it to yourself at the same time, extend your warranty. We highly recommend 24 months, 24,000 miles or kilometers. You want the absolute best warranty and advertise that. It's on your reader board, it's on your website, it's on your invoice at the end, the home of. I have one client, the way he answers his phone is, thank you for calling Mackard Automotive, the home of the 24-month, 24,000-mile warranty. You want people to know that you're separate from other people, that you separate yourself, that you add value that other people don't. Now, some people say, here's the problem with that, is my vendor's not going to take care of that. We're not talking about your vendor taking care of you. We're talking about you taking care of your customers. I was at a session one time and this fellow said, you know, Kelly, 4 years ago, you suggested we go 24 months, 24,000 miles. He said, we did that. And I can tell you, we've tracked it in 4 years. We've done $1,200 worth of warranty repair. At the same time, he increased his gross profit on his parts by 8%. So do the math. 8% of part sales over 4 years, subtract the $1,200. It's highly profitable, but it's also great value. Sometimes a customer says, well, I saw that part on the internet, or I saw it at the parts store. You can say, that's great. Maybe it's not the same quality. We know that. Do you know what the warranty is? They probably don't. So just pause. Do you know what the warranty is? Ours is 24 months, 24,000 miles. It's a great way to separate yourself from other people. And when shoppers are calling, they're not a customer yet. Your job is to turn them from a shopper into a customer. When they're calling and saying, oh, by the way, you realize we do have a 24-month, 24,000-mile warranty. You don't want to just be competitive because it sounds like you do the same thing that everybody else does. Competitive warranty, yours is the same as everybody else. What difference does that make? It's like when you see an ad, you're looking for a job, it says competitive wages. You pay as crappy as the person down the street. No, you have the best wages. You have the best warranty. You want people to know that you are different. You separate yourselves. People are calling, they're shopping, they're phoning a bunch of people. It's all about money. Think about a consumer, think like a customer. The dollars are the same. What's the difference? You want to tell people you have a 24-month warranty, whereas the one down the street only has 12 months. You need to separate yourself. You're better than everybody else. You want the best parts, the best service, the best technicians, the best equipment, and the best warranty in the area.
Okay, so that one's pretty self-explanatory. I actually recommend what you do is you answer your phone that way. I have a client who just went 36 months, 36,000 miles. He's in the US, and I suggested that they answer the phone. Thanks for calling West Service Center, the home of the 36,000 36-month warranty, because you want to separate yourself from everybody else and give people a reason to go to you rather than somebody else. I want to do seasonal promotions, and I know if you're in places like San Diego, Four Seasons, that exists. The idea is that you want your customers coming in 4 times a year, and you can educate your customers about pre-booking the next season. One of my favorite people who is the king of pre-booking appointments. And by the way, one of the things I'm realizing, this is the first time showing the videos as part of a webinar. It allows me to take some additional notes for myself. A thing that I'm going to be sending you is an article that I wrote on how to sell parts correctly, and it goes into that subject in a lot more detail. And I know that you know, I've taught 3-day classes, 5-day classes, and I have to resist getting into too much detail because pre-booking appointments could be a 45-minute, 1-hour discussion in and of itself. But I did a interview with a fellow that I call the king of pre-booking appointments, and it is a 32-minute interview. I think it's something like that, and he will go into detail and explain how that works. So just to let you know, I will be sending you that article, and I'll send you a link to the pre-booking appointments.
One of the things I think we've done wrong as an industry is educate people about oil change intervals only. It's not just about oil change intervals. Some people hardly drive. Does that mean they shouldn't bring the vehicle in? We need to see this customer, we believe, 4 times a year. Some of our customers we're only seeing 2 or 3 times a year. We should educate our customers that we really should see their vehicle 4 times a year. Understand what we're talking about, monitoring their vehicle. We're talking about preventing things from going wrong. And the more often we monitor your vehicle, the less you're going to spend on repair because we're going to be maintaining your vehicle. So if we can get our customers educated, spring, summer, fall, winter. They're there for the spring, we've gone ahead and made your summer appointment. They're there for the summer, we've gone ahead and made your fall appointment. And really what it is a glorified oil change, yes, but an inspection that's being done for the season that's coming up. So your vehicle will be ready for summer. So your vehicle will be ready for the winter. We need to educate our customers. It's not just about mileage, although that may be important. Now, one thing we need to look at here is what happens if the customer does drive a lot. Maybe they're a salesperson and they need an oil change every 5 weeks. Well, that changes those intervals. But most customers should be in 4 times a year. If they drive less, they should still be in 4 times a year. If they drive more because of the oil change, we should see them earlier. So I can say, you know, Dan, we noticed that you need an oil change every 7 weeks. You drive a lot. we've gone ahead and made your appointment for that oil change. But that's the exception, not the rule. In most cases, what you're going to do is educate the customer. Each season change, we need to see you. In the spring, we're going to call you prior to that appointment and confirm the appointment with you. It's not in stone. It's only in pencil. It's not in pen. We're not selling timeshares here. This is not a hard sell. It's a soft sell. We've gone ahead and made the spring appointment. We'll be calling you before spring and refer to it not as intervals, spring, summer, fall, winter. The customer can understand the season just changed. I need to get back into the repair shop. One of the things you want to do is make sure you market this. Selling is one thing and explaining it to the customer, but you want to market as well. So on your reader board, if you've got a board outside, you can say spring promotion happening right now. On your website, you change it, and you want it done professionally. You want it to look like the season that's coming up. And speaking of that, one thing that bothers me is when I see somebody advertising winter's coming and they've got these people and they're almost freezing to death and it's late at night and a woman's there with 4 kids and the owl's there. I don't want to scare people with that. Winter's coming, and make it a beautiful winter scene. You want to make sure that you're promoting the seasons. On your website, maybe in your shop, you have a digital frame where it's just indicating some information about your shop, and then it's going to show that your spring promotion is coming up or your fall promotion is coming up. It also really works well when you're going to be calling your customers. Maybe somebody who didn't permit you to make that appointment, or somebody who doesn't know you yet and they're not convinced about that. You can simply make phone calls and say it is our spring promotion, and of course email really works for that as well.
Years ago, we had a minivan, and I'll admit that we owned a Chrysler minivan, but we drove so much. The kids went to school in the country, lived in the country, and we needed oil change every 5 weeks. And so it's good to be able to tell your customer how much that is. This is kind of fun. This is called mugging your local business.
This one might sound a little odd, but we want you to mug other businesses in your area. I heard about this from a radio station actually where I live, and they mug a local business. It might be a bank, be careful with that one. It might be an accounting office, it might be a driver's place or whatever. It's an opportunity for you to take some really good quality mugs. I don't know about you, but I hate when somebody gives me something that is of poor quality. Somebody gives you a pen, breaks the first time you use it. It would be better that they gave you nothing. So have some really nicely designed mugs. So you go into a person's business and you say, we're the local repair shop from around the corner, I'm sure you've seen us, and we want to mug your business by giving you 6 mugs or 12 mugs or whatever it is, depending on the size of the business. The idea is that people are sitting drinking their coffee or their tea, whatever it is, and they've got your logo on that mug. Plus, it could be in a business where a lot of customers are seeing the mugs that people are drinking their coffee from. We see that all the time. I was in an office recently and I said, where can I get a cup of coffee? And they said, go to the kitchen, grab any mug that you want. So these mugs rotate. It's not like you bring 6 mugs and only 6 people get them. If they have 50 employees, you don't need to bring them 50 mugs, but you drop off, let's say, a half a dozen, and eventually those mugs are going to get transferred around the 50 people or whatever that work in that office. Again, great exposure for your business, top of mind. I need to get my car repaired. I've been looking at that logo on my coffee cup for X number of months or years or whatever.
Years ago, I was at the DMV in Cochrane, and I noticed the lady was using an Arrows automotive pen, and Arrows a client of mine a customer. No, I'm a customer, sorry. And I said, oh, you've got Arrows automotive pens. She said, yeah, they're the absolute best pens here. Let's take a look at loyalty program. Oh, that's weird. I wonder what's going on there. Okay, safety clicks. I don't know what's up here. Okay, well, I'm going to figure out what's going on, and I'll just open it up to questions that you have. I'm getting this weird noise in the background, and I've never had this happen before, so I don't know what's going on. I'll get rid of that one. I apologize about this. I've never ever seen it do this before. Maybe I've just got too many windows open up there or something. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, thanks. This one's kind of a fun one. I'll let it speak for itself. Oh, I can need to do a share, right? Okay.
A friend of mine works at a Royal Canadian Legion, and one day I was there and all these seniors around and they're playing cards, and on the deck of cards was a Repair Shops logo. And I thought, how did they do that? All they did is had playing cards made. Lots of advertising companies sell all sorts of different promotional items. And so what they did is they had playing cards made, and it was so neat to be sitting there looking at all these tables with the logo of a repair shop in their cards. So we recommend that you order maybe a case of playing cards. You can provide them to your customers as gifts, something that you might give away at, like, say, a ladies' car care clinic, something like that. But you want to donate them to local legions or senior centers, Golden Age Club, so that when they're sitting there playing cards, your business becomes top of mind.
One of the repair shops I was at actually in the winter gives a lip balm, and I thought that was kind of neat because they're at work using lip balm, and other people are seeing that. Not that you'd share your lip balm with somebody. Let's do safety clinics. I like this one.
Several years ago, I was invited to an event in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which was a safety clinic, and it was put on by 7 repair shops in the area, planned well in advance. They do it twice a year because it's quite a big event. It's not something you could do probably more frequently than that. It was sponsored by local parts companies, and it was an opportunity to have people locally come by with their vehicles and have them go through a safety lane. This is a larger event where you're going to hold it maybe in a mall parking lot, and we're going to ask the mall or maybe Walmart in advance, well in advance, on this day we would like to hold this event. You want to get sponsorship involved because it could cost a fair bit of money to put on an event, not probably something you do on your own. You want to contact the local media, radio stations, newspapers. The event that I was at had a live radio remote for the entire morning that the event was on. And throughout the morning, they were telling people over the radio, if you want to find out if your vehicle is safe, come by the Walmart on blah, blah, blah street, and there's a safety inspection car care clinic going on. There's 7 shops locally that are partaking in the event. People would pull through. They'd have technicians from the various shops doing simple little inspections on the vehicle, and at the end they'd give the customer a report of what they found. They also had a show and shine, so there was cars from a local car club that were there, which was an extra attraction to come out and see these really cool cars. And they had face painting for the kids, and they actually had a live band. So here's how it happened. These cars came. They actually lined up for a while. I don't know how, a couple hundred cars maybe came through that day. And they come through. Each of the technicians from the shops that are participating simply had shirts on that were all the same color that didn't identify which shop they were at. They come through. The service advisors were at the end, that they got the results from that vehicle, the inspection results, provided a copy to the customer and say, here's what we found. It was a carbon copy, so they gave 1 copy to the customer, they kept 1, and they said, here's a list of the 7 local repair shops that took part in today's event. We recommend that you have this work done to keep your car safe. Thank you for coming in. So there's no selling, there's no estimating. It's simply an opportunity to get exposure through the media, to have people come to the car care clinic, put on by several shops. Now they know the condition of their vehicle, and then hopefully they're going to make a choice to have that work done at one of the 7 shops that participated in the event.
Okay, one of the ones that I want to show you here, again, we don't have time to, in a session like this, combining 2 topics to do all 65, but well, there's so many of these that are really good. Let's just do sponsor a team. Oh, I think so. Yes.
Several years ago, my son was on a soccer team, and he came home. He was so excited about his brand new jersey. I remember like it was yesterday, green and white. And he comes home and says, Dad, look at this. I got a jersey and shorts and socks. Now, he'd been sponsored before his team, but it was the first time they got socks as well. It was for a car wash. So we ended up switching from the car wash that we did go to that car wash. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily mention it to you, but I wanted to make a point of it. We'd go to the car wash, and I'd say to my son, make sure you thank them for sponsoring your team. I think it's impressive when you're watching a sports team, or you go into like an ice cream place, and the whole team is there after their game, and they're eating their ice cream, and you see the name of a shop on the back of their shirt. It's a great way to get exposure, and it says something about your company. Here's a company that doesn't just fix cars, you're concerned about the community, and you're sponsoring this team. It's very impressive. Another fellow was telling me, which I thought was pretty cool, is he was driving down the road one day and he saw a jersey with his company name on it that he knew was 7 years old. Why? Because they changed the color each year. So here's some hand-me-down shirt that somebody got. And that's the point, really. It's not just about when they're out there playing. Kids love their uniforms and they want to wear them to school and they want to wear them walking to and from school. So here's exposure for your business, but at the same time, you're doing great things for the local community.
Okay. I guess I'm going to refrain from saying this is one of my favorites, but it is. I've seen people that have done better with this one than any other.
One of the great things about what I do is I get a chance to travel around and I get to hear feedback from people about what really works the best. And without a doubt, in the top 3 ways that people have said helps to increase their car count is belonging to a business network club. They're all over the place. Business International, for example, is a great opportunity for you to go, and you're part of a breakfast team in this particular case. Some meet for dinner or lunch. And what happens is there's one type of business represented in each group. There's always going to be a plumber and a realtor and an electrician and an accountant. And in reality, from talking to these people, automotive representation is kind of weak. So we recommend that you join a local club, and it's an opportunity to meet with other people. When you first join, you have an opportunity to stand up in front of the group and give a little presentation about your company. Then you hand out business cards, and they track it. Every single week, they will say, this is how much business was generated by this group. One of my clients, Howard, he said that Business Network International has worked for him incredibly well. And in fact, he can track exactly how much business came in the door from Business Network International. One time I was doing a service advisor class and Howard's service advisor was at that session. And he said, Kelly, I am so stressed out. We are so busy. I wish Howard would get out of BNI, Business Network International, because we just have way too much business coming in the door. A neat thing about BNI or other types of groups is that you are allowed to have somebody attend a different group. So in other words, if there's 3 chapters, so to speak, in your area, I have one fellow, he attends one. He has a manager attend another group in another section of the city, and his shuttle bus driver, who's a semi-retired guy who completely loves people. He's a morning person, and he loves to go to the Business Network International and talk about the company. When you first go, you do the commercial, you provide business cards, you let people know what you do, and now you have 12 or 14 or 30. Sometimes the groups will get up to 40. Some are more effective than others, and some are stronger than others. But it's an opportunity for you to have all these other people out there selling your business. Many times I've been into a shop and there'll be a business card rack and they'll do the same thing in their business, and you see the rack with all the people that are in that Business Network International. I was at one shop and a fellow said, here's what happens. People are at the counter, they see the business card rack, and they automatically go over to it. Another one of my clients, he and his wife are both in groups. He goes to a Business Network International, and his wife goes to a women's business group. And in their shop, they have 2 beautiful racks, and on one rack is all the business cards from the group that he's in, and on the other rack is all the ones that his wife is in. And he said people will walk in at the counter, same thing, walk over, look at the business cards, grab cards off there, and again, each of those other companies has a rack similar to that with your business card in it. It is an amazing way to increase your car count.
I suspect there's a few people online that are in BNI. BNI is huge. It's international, right? This one's kind of fun. You have to be careful with it though, because states and provinces are very strict on what you can use for license plate photos.
Several years ago, I was asked by a shop to go and perform an on-site evaluation. The name of the shop, Smog and Go. I flew into the city, I rent my car, and I'm driving to the shop, and in front of me is a car that says, I passed at Smog and Go, which simply means they passed their smog test, which is really important. You don't want to fail. It's good news when you pass the test. I'm turning around the corner, I'm behind another car, I passed at Smog and Go, and I'm looking, and I don't know, maybe 7 or 8% of all the vehicles that I saw had the license plates. So when I got to a shop, I said, you got to tell me about the plates. He said, it's really simple. We charge the fee that we're supposed to for a smog, which is in California. He said, but what we'll do is offer people a $2 discount if they allow us to replace the plate. And so that's a neat way to do it. I have another client, and what he does is called the Great Plate Giveaway. How it works is if you allow the shop to replace the plate that's on there with his plate, that's when your name goes into the draw. And whoever wins a service at his shop and a restaurant certificate of their choice. I was in a shop one time and he had a list of all the people over the last 7 years that have won. And it's really neat to see that they really do this. They show the person, their name, which restaurant they chose. And he sends out an email, which I've been getting for 7 years, called the Great Plate Giveaway. And what it does is it tells people the winner this month was Dan. He has a Mercedes-Benz, tells the year, make, and model. It has 265,000 miles on it. They maintain their vehicle really well, and they chose this particular restaurant to go to. What I love about this whole idea is how many times people say, I've seen that plate all over the place. In fact, as David's had people say, you know, I was just in another state, I was in Canada or whatever, and I saw one of your plates on a car. So it's great exposure for your business and increase your car count because it becomes top of mind to people. They've seen that name a lot.
I recall he gave me a he gave me a shirt that said Foreign Service on it. I remember one time I was going through Customs and Immigration to work in the U.S. under my TN visa. And the customs officer said, what is the Foreign Service? Because I look at my shirt, oh, the Foreign Service. And I wanted to say, well, I can't tell you, but you know, you don't mess with people like that. So I just said it's a repair shop that works on both, that works on foreign vehicles.
One of my favorite things to do is to see an automotive repair shop doing a charity event. One of the things that I've seen people do is hold women's car care clinics where they specifically invite women out. Maybe you do it on a quarterly basis and maybe you charge $10 or $20 for the event with all of the proceeds going to the local women's shelter. Too often our industry has the stigma about women, and we still see it where women feel uncomfortable about repair shops. We need to let them know that we're just not a bunch of people who fix cars, but we're people who are concerned about the community and we're willing to raise funds for something like a women's shelter. We need to understand reporters are always looking for an angle. They don't want some boring story. They want something interesting. So you think about it. You've got a repair shop that's going to teach women, maybe on a quarterly basis, want to be structured, make sure it's planned in advance, but you're going to train them on how to better look after the vehicles with the proceeds from that going to the local women's shelter. So always remember to think about what's the angle for the media, because it's about getting the exposure for your fundraiser to raise more funds, but I think it also helps with the stigma that people have about the automotive industry.
Again, as we're going through this, if there's some of these that you've been using and you want to make some comments, please feel free to email me about those, and then I can share those comments with other people. This one's kind of neat. I know a shop that just hired a new technician that has some high skills in a specific area.
There's some times when you need to get back to the basics when it comes to increasing car count. Why do people deal with you? Do I go to the shop that's the closest to my house, or will I pass 2 or 3? For a while there, I was driving almost 20 miles or 30 kilometers to get to a repair shop. Why? I knew them, I liked them, and I trusted them. I'm bringing my vehicle to you. It could be a $20,000 vehicle, a $40,000 vehicle, and I'm trusting you with that vehicle. And I want to make sure that the person who's working on that vehicle knows exactly what they're doing. They're the best for the job. For example, one time I phoned a repair shop and I said to them, how much do you charge? And they said, well, it depends on the quality of the technician. And I know that sounds insane, but that's exactly what they said. And I said, oh, is Beefus there? I want him working on my vehicle. Could you imagine if you phoned a hospital and said, I need some brain surgery, how much is it? Well, it depends on the quality of the doctor. We've got Dan. He's not making as many mistakes as he used to. He's actually getting quite a bit better. No, we want to go to people who know what they're doing. So when you have a technician, maybe it's a new technician to your shop, you want to make sure you market that. You can put that on a reader board, maybe on your website. You want to explain to people. Maybe there's a picture on the wall that says, we are proud to be able to provide Dan Morrow, one of the leading technicians in the country, has 14 years experience working on Toyota. You want to make sure that people know that the people that are working on their cars know exactly what they're doing.
Patty?
Yep.
Can I put you on the spot? One of the things, and by the way, the reason it came to me, just so you know, is I ask people to add me to their email list so I can see what people are advertising to other people. And Patty does texting, and I asked her to add me to it so I can see what she's doing. So it's really neat for me to get all these emails from, I've been to all 50 states, which is great for a Canadian, all across Canada. And I get these emails still, like the Great Play giveaway, or somebody's advertising a new technician. By the way, one of my favorites was just this past New Year's. One of my clients that I've known for many, many, many years, he has a towing company, and he advertised free towing the night of New Year's, or free taxi service. Basically, they would drive and pick you up. And I got the email a few days before New Year's, and I thought, wow, is that ever cool? So I guess there's 66 ways to increase car count. And I sent him an email the next day. I said, wow, how long you been doing this? He said, for years. And the night before, I think it was 33 or 34 people took advantage of his offer to either drive them and tow their vehicle. And of course, that cost him some money. But the exposure that he got from the media, that this automotive repair shop cared enough, and who knows, maybe they probably have saved some lives over the year. So Patty, would you mind just talking about your email, or sorry, your text campaign and what you do with that?
We're working with a company called My Shop Manager. What they do is they've got access to my database. Something I like using, and when we have slow days or a slow week, they have a slow day blast. I pick and choose who it goes out to, and it goes by the vehicle history that's been in the shop. It'll say, hi Joe, it's been 2 months since you've been in, you're due for an oil change or whatever, or if there's anything you need, give us a call in the next couple of days. After they've been in for service, they get an email from me saying, just checking up to make sure you're happy with the repairs done on your vehicle, whatever. It does also do email. I'm just doing text right now. My customers like text. For some reason, they don't like email. A text, they can respond when they want to. It's got a great reporting system on it. But and it shows when they get a text. It gives me a report back on who responds to the text, who comes back, and how much work is generated. A really good system. So yeah, if you're looking for a CRM system, check out My Shop Manager.
Thank you. Again, I'm always learning things. I think I said in the introduction to this, when I first started this workshop, it was called 21 Ways to Increase Car Count. And I've added more and more. And one, by the way, that I attended in Vancouver was a garage sale on this lawn. They called it the garage sale, and they were basically out there selling tires, and they had a disc jockey and live music, and they had food, and actually had pictures of me and my business partner serving hot dogs at that event, and it was a really, really neat one. This next one, I'm going to say it is one of my favorites for lots of reasons, and I do need to share this differently.
We've certainly seen safety become a huge issue in automobiles. How much do you think the automotive industry has spent just making?
I'm not sure what.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna, no. Sorry.
To add credibility to the event, what we want to do is invite EMT. Over the years, we've certainly seen safety become a huge issue in automobiles. How much do you think the automotive industry has spent just making the vehicle safer? Safety's come a long way, and one thing that's really important is car seats for babies and making sure that they're installed correctly. We recommend that you do a baby seat clinic. To add credibility to the event, what we want to do is invite local EMT or firefighters, police, ambulance drivers to be on site that day. So you want to plan it in advance, maybe on a quarterly basis, and of course let the media know that you're going to be doing it. And what you want to do is not install baby seats, but making sure that the ones that are already in are installed correctly. And so when the police are there, they're certainly going to help you with that process. The idea, of course, is to make sure that these babies are safe, and it's a great opportunity to provide exposure for our business, and again, caring for this community and safety.
And that's a really good one, to be able to get media coverage. And if you've never written a public announcement or a PSA, public service announcement for the media, I'm going to encourage you to just Google it online. Years ago, when I started a workshop When I started my business in '87, I ran a workshop called Starting a Successful Business, and I learned how to get free publicity, and the internet didn't exist in those days, so I found out how to do it differently. But I sent out press releases, and just to give you an idea of the creativity of it, I said, did you know that 2,200 businesses start a month in our city? Did you know that 85% of them will fail in the first 5 years? And did you know whatever else? And then it says, we're teaching this workshop on how to run a successful business. And I was interviewed well over 100 times. One station actually did a monthly show, a weekly show. And each week we did a different topic. And I've seen some automotive repair shop owners that do radio shows every Saturday morning at whatever time. And I've actually seen some people who do TV shows as well. So that's an opportunity for you to get more exposure. And it's when you've got credibility and you gain credibility when you're doing that as well. Let's go with loyalty.
One of the most effective ways to market today is loyalty programs. We see it all over the place. We are rewarded for loyalty. Years ago, businesses would give you something for free, hoping you'll become loyal to them. I disagree with that. What I do agree with is rewarding people for their loyalty. Oil Changes is a great example of that. Customer comes in, we let them know we've got a brand new program. It's a loyalty program for oil changes. And there's a couple scenarios here. Let's say the customer came in today for an oil change. You say, tell you what, we have this brand new program. Every 7th oil change is free. And tell you what we're going to do is we're going to start you off with 2 punches. Now, you don't have to give them a card. You could track it in your computer. Hopefully, they'll keep their card in their wallet. But I'm sure you agree with this. You go into a business, you don't have the card, they're not going to give you a score or points or whatever it is for that. So make it simple, track it with the phone number. I've experienced it at the repair shop I go to, go in for an oil change, and today, by the way, he says it was your 7th one, today is free. So they're tracking it internally. But let's say the person's not there for an oil change, they're there for another service. We want to let them know we have a new loyalty program for oil changes. Say we started this brand new program, every 7th oil change is free, but I tell you what, we're going to start you off today with 1 towards that. So you want the customer, when they leave, realizing even though they haven't purchased an oil change yet, they've already got 1 punch towards that. And it doesn't just have to be oil changes. There's other services that we can do. It could be the spring, summer, fall, winter promotion, something like that. But you want to make sure that you're rewarding people for becoming loyal to you. They've got lots of choices. They can go many other places to have that work done. Why am I going to come back to you? I know you, I like you, I trust you, and you're going to reward me for becoming loyal to you.
One thing I want to mention here, and I know that maybe, this can seem overwhelming because we're looking at so many opportunities. And I think one of the absolutely important things is that you plan this. And so what I encourage you to do, and I'm going to show you our planner that we use in our group, and it's a lot more complex, and I'm certainly not going to be able to go through and do some training on this in this time. But the idea is, and I'm just going to pull this over. Obviously, we're making extra comments in that month of January. And I'm not using a mouse, I'm using my pad, and it's kind of sticking. And let's see. Okay, I just want to make it easier for you to see how this works. What you want to do is decide what you're going to do and when. If you choose that you're going to do 20 of the 33 we're going to cover, or 5 or 10, whatever it is. The idea is that you plan it out. Now, we do it a little bit more detailed in our group here. Just to give you an idea, at the beginning of the session, I talked about the introductory. When I did the introduction, I said there's 4 ways that you need to market your business. And we're looking at number 1, which is to bring in new customers. What are the things that you're going to do to bring in new customers? And then what are you going to do to bring them back more often? And you'll list under that heading what you're going to do there. What are you going to do to increase your average invoice? And this is one of my clients that I've been working with. And what are you going to do to increase your gross profit per invoice? You can increase your sales. You can get more money from a customer, but actually have less gross profit in it. And I'm not going to get into all the detail about that, but the fast food industry is brilliant at this 4-step process. They advertise to get us in. They advertise to keep us coming back. They when I have their packages, they want us to buy a full meal deal, and they make that easy because the sign for that is big, the graphic for that's a big, beautiful picture, and the font is huge. And if you've never noticed, the next time you're into a quick food restaurant or quick fast food, whatever you call it, you take a look at the size of the font for the stuff that makes them the most amount of money. It's huge. And then when you see 1 pop or soda, 1 order of fries, 1 burger, it's a very small font. They want to make it more or easier for you to buy the most profitable stuff. And once you've decided to buy the meal, how do they increase the gross profit on that sale? That's the supersize. So there's separate steps. You increase gross profit by doing packages. And then what you want to do is to plan out when you're going to do this. So are you going to start that one in January? And of course, your shop's anniversary, you plug that into your calendar. And the idea is to take these ways of increasing car count, making every car count, and decide when you're going to do them, when you're going to start, what do you need to do to start it? Do you need to get the referral card made that we just talked about? And again, I'm going to be sending you a lot of additional handouts after the session is over. And what you'll do is design your business card or your card around that, of course. Fleet business is one that I think everybody should do. You do have to be a bit careful with it because, well, there's lots of reasons, but some of these people want the absolute best turnaround time, and sometimes you're putting off more profitable work to try to deal with this person. Some of these people want to bring in their own parts. I'm going to encourage you to not allow that. It doesn't make sense to have somebody who wants priority service and they're bringing in their own part. And then the receivables issue that can go along with that. I know a shop that at any given time, with the amount of fleet work they were doing, they would have in excess of $500,000 in receivables. That's something that you can that can keep you up at night. And sad part about that is they had one major fleet that was their biggest fleet in 2000, whatever, I think it was 8, and the fleet went under. And it sunk them and they went bankrupt. So I'm not trying to discourage you here, but the idea is a bunch of smaller size fleets, ones that of course can afford to pay you.
I think every shop needs to have some fleet business. Now, you don't want to have too much fleet business usually, unless you're specifically in the fleet business. One of the challenges with fleets is sometimes they want a better deal. We recommend that you don't try to sell your shop on price, but you do it on service. But it could become a receivables problem because a lot of these people won't pay right up front, and so you don't want too much fleet business. But the nice thing about fleet business is it gives you consistent revenue coming in, and a lot of these fleets are really focused on the whole area of maintenance. Now, fleet business you're not going to get by taking a letter, sending it off to a fleet company. It really does require some creativity and some visits. What kind of fleets? Well, lots of small fleets. Funeral homes, they want to make sure their vehicles are in good condition. Local ambulances, local police, pizza places. There's a lot of smaller fleets, hotel shuttles, for example. One of the things we recommend that you do is challenge your employees to bring in a list of fleets they see on the road. So they're driving along and they see a vacuum company or a plumbing company and they write those down. Maybe you give a prize to the person who came up with the best leads for these fleets. The idea is set aside maybe a day a month to take those leads, go out to the businesses, visit the businesses, explain how good you are, explain how long you've been in business. You need to sell your shop to them. They want service. They want their vehicles on the road. So you want to make sure that you talk about your warranty, your attention to detail, the quality of the technicians that you have. One of my clients, you drive past his shop, you see ambulances and police cars out front. Another one that I was at, they have all of these limos out front. So you drive by this shop and it grabs your attention because you see all these limousines and all these ambulances as well. And the idea is I'm driving by and I see that you're working on ambulances and those kinds of vehicles. I know that you know exactly what you're doing to be able to get that kind of business.
Arrows Automotive, which is a shop that I was a customer.
I think every...
And if you've read the articles that I've written over the years, and I'm going to be sending out some of the articles to you that I've written. It was Arrows Automotive, and you'll get the concept when you read the articles. But he did what I call 5 o'clock shock. You never knew what your bill was until you went to the shop, and he would never quote it up front. Maybe he's changed that since, I don't know, because I've moved away. But you'd find out at the end of the day what I call 5 o'clock shock. And and he worked on the ambulances in our town. And I said, oh, so the ambulances out there just in case we have heart attacks or how much the bill is. Patty, it's fun.
We've all experienced where people come into the shop and they're looking for us to donate something to them for their charity for a silent auction. We've all been to silent auctions. You know what it's like. You walk around, you see tangible things that you want to buy. What we're selling is something that's really invisible. They don't see it yet. So on a flyer, you want to make sure you make it very clear what it is that you're offering. And I think oil changes are boring. I don't think we should just offer an oil change. It might be a spring package or a fall package. It might be a comprehensive inspection or something like that that has more value to it. We've all been to silent auctions. We know what it's like. You walk around, some things are tangible, but what we sell is not tangible. It's on a flyer. So make the flyer very attractive. Get a graphic artist to do that for you and provide them with a plastic stand, a clear kind of plastic stands that you can buy at a stationery store. So it's standing upright, not flat on the table. In addition to that, to draw more attention to that, because it's not just the person who's going to bid on the item and win it that you want to get exposure to, but all the people that are walking around the auction. So if you've got some chocolate, some high-end stuff, and they walk around and they look and they see the chocolates, people love that. You've been to a trade show, they want to see free stuff. So people are going to pay more attention to the flyer that you have there. We also recommend that you have business cards or maybe a brochure on your company. Again, focus on the attention you're going to get from the other couple hundred people that are walking around at that auction. And it's a great way to increase your car count.
If you're going to do that, by the way, I really suggest really good quality chocolates. For those of you that have been to live workshops of mine, I invest in some really good chocolate every time you come back from a break. There's a new chocolate bar there or something, and I want to give something of good quality. Towing companies, you have to be a little bit careful with this one, but I'll just let the people know.
When it comes to bringing cars to your shop, never been there before, increasing car count, you think about towing companies. Towing companies have a huge influence on where they bring a customer's vehicle that called them. I had one fellow, he did it the opposite way. He was bragging that he negotiated the lowest rate he could possibly have with the towing company. I would pay a premium rate. I want them to bring the vehicle to me. Why would you as a tow truck driver bring the vehicle to me if I'm going to pay you less than anybody else? You want to build a relationship with the towing companies. You want your shop to be top of mind. So you want to build a relationship with the local towing companies. Maybe once a quarter or once a month, whatever, you send donuts to the local towing companies, or maybe it's pizza at lunchtime. Again, what we're looking for is top of mind. I want that tow truck driver thinking about, oh yeah, those guys bought us pizza a couple months ago. You want to make sure that you separate yourself from everybody else and that you become top of mind for the shop. When this person says, where should I bring my car? People look to the towing person as an expert. Sometimes they think they know lots about cars, which is often not the case. But they trust that person because they're a tow truck driver, they're an automotive person. So what you want to do is make sure when that tow truck driver is going to recommend a shop, it's yours because it's the first one they think about.
Okay, I got to tell you, I just noticed for the first time that on the towing truck, he had put a little thing that says "Rec Amended." I thought, oh, that's really clever. I don't know if that's a real one or not, but anyway, this one doesn't sound too important, but I can tell you, I've seen some pretty not so attractive shops up there.
Think about how many people drive by your shop every single day, on the way to work, on the way back from work, on the way to school, on the way back, and they notice things. The appearance of your business is absolutely huge. We've all experienced, you drive up to some kind of business or pass it and think, there's no way I'd eat there or shop there or get my car repaired there. It's really important that you are conscientious about what your shop looks like. And again, I suggest that you take photos of your shop so that you can see what you don't typically see. I was in a shop one time, I took photos of the inside of the shop, I found it fairly disgusting. I sat down with the owner afterwards and he said I had no idea how bad it looked until I saw these pictures. I had no idea how bad the chairs looked. I had no idea that there was dirt under that counter because you don't sit where your customer sits. So what you want to do is sit down in the chairs, the waiting chairs that you have, or drive up to your business like you've never been there before and you're going to see a different light. People love bright, they like new, they like professional, and you want to make sure that your shop maintains the image. Maybe we had a great image years ago, but the sign's starting to fade, or the driveway doesn't look so great anymore, or the windows don't look so great. Appearance is absolutely huge. One big mistake I think people make is having used tires outside of the shop so it looks like a repair shop. Last week I was in a shop, one of the most beautiful facilities I've ever seen on the outside, just totally gorgeous, and yet outside were these tire racks. And I said, those have got to go. He said, yeah, but it gives the impression. I said, but the wrong impression. We want to look as professional as we possibly can, and more importantly, maintaining that professionalism. One of the things that people notice when they drive by, in this case an automotive repair shop, is how many vehicles are outside. If there's lots of vehicles, I might get the impression my car is going in there, I have no idea when it's coming out. As a consumer, I'm not too concerned about when you can get me in. I'm concerned about when the vehicle can get back to me. And if you look too busy, I'm sure we've all experienced it. People said, oh, I drove by last week, you look pretty busy, and so I just kept on going. Now, another thing is if there's not enough cars. You ever walk into a restaurant and there's absolutely nobody there, you're thinking, what do they know that I don't know? So if it's a slow day and there's hardly any vehicles, what you want to do is take your vehicles, employees' vehicles, park them in the bays outside so you look like you're busier than you really are. So too many vehicles, not enough vehicles are both not great for appearance. Over the years, I've been to a lot of repair shops, and it amazes me the contrast there can be between the inside of the business and the outside of the business. One shop I went to, absolutely gorgeous. You walk in the door and think, what just happened? They put all the money on the outside. Then there's other shops where the outside doesn't look great and they put the money into the customer waiting area. You want consistency. You want to make sure that the image that you have on the outside is the same image that you have on the inside. The outside image, getting people that have never been there before to want to come to your shop. The inside image is to make sure the people that are in your shop are going to come back because they had a professional experience.
One of my favorites was a shop, well, still is in Kingston, Ontario, and it's called Car Medics. And they have what looks like a clinic on the outside. And you walk inside and it looks like a clinic. And they have a sign that goes into the bays called the operating room. And they have the chief surgeon who's the diagnostician. And they work with that. So it's kind of neat to see that. Radio ads, they can work if you need to get people in like really quickly. The idea is to have the ads ready.
It's Valerie from Canopton Garage, still the only female service tech around here. You wouldn't go out in minus 20-degree weather without getting winterized, just like you wouldn't let your RV be exposed to damaging winter elements. We'll give your RV the service it needs for winter storage. We'll make sure everything is in order so you can put it away and not check it till May. We winterize campers and cars too, before the weather brings snow and more. Get your RV ready to store. See us at 61 Putman Industrial Road or CanoptonGarage.com. Canopton Garage, where I work and where we'll winterize your RV.
When we're looking at increasing car count, sometimes we need it now. We need it really quickly. We've got those slow periods of time. What are some of the ways we can get vehicles in really quickly? Radio advertising is one that can be done. It's not like a print ad that has to be prepared a month in advance. We recommend that you have some ads already set up, written and recorded. One thing I'm not a big fan of is hearing somebody do their own radio commercial. We suggest that you leave that up to the experts. Write up the ad, make sure somebody goes through it, make sure it's a good ad, and then have it professionally recorded, and the radio station could have it. So you could literally call a radio station, and some of them could play it that very day. The idea is to get immediate response. Now, radio advertising doesn't necessarily always work. If you are a large shop with several different locations, that can work incredibly well. If you're in a smaller market, in the town I live in, 18,000 people, has its own radio station, so that's going to work. Before you embark on radio advertising, you want to make sure that you do a little bit of homework first because it can be tricky. One of the things is the right radio station. Which radio station do your customers listen to? So maybe for a week you test it and ask your service advisor when they go out to bring the vehicle around back, walk around inspection, whatever it is you're doing, or have the technician simply write down the radio station that station was on when it arrived at the shop. And so maybe you take a sampling of a week and find out which radio stations. I know some people have done this and they found out that talk radio in their area was the most popular. So you want to make sure you select the right radio station for what you're going to do. One thing about radio advertising is you only have 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds to grab somebody's attention. So you want to make sure that the ad is clever. Now you don't want to make it too clever. We don't like to hear those really irritating radio ads. One of my favorites was an ad that played recently that said, why don't you get your car repaired where the people working on them are old enough to drive them? Now that was 10 seconds of wording and you know exactly what they're talking about. So again, advertising on radio can be tricky. Do your homework. It could cost maybe $10 to $20 for an ad in some markets, depending on the time of day. Morning drive, afternoon drive, of course, is going to be more expensive. It could be hundreds of dollars for a 30 to 60 second ad in some markets. So you want to make sure you do your homework in your market, in your area. Again, find out which radio stations the bulk of your customers listen to. Phone around and make sure that you're getting good pricing and the times of day, etc. The idea is if the car count is low and you need cars in your bay now, radio advertising is something that can be done right away to get people into your shop.
And I'm not going to let you listen to that radio thing again, even though I'm in Calgary and it's country music capital of Canada. It's not a exciting thing. I phoned a repair shop one day and they had music on hold, and the song was "I'm Gonna Love You Forever, Forever and Ever, Amen." And I thought, my car's going to be there forever and ever, amen. This is a neat one.
One huge market out there for us is high school students, junior high school students who just got their very first car. We have an opportunity to plan it in advance, to arrange to go out to a school to get a whole classroom of drivers. They just brought their first vehicle. Looking after it is something maybe they want to do, but they don't know how to. You set up to go to the school. Maybe it's a 2-hour presentation. You provide information about car maintenance, things that you might use in a car care clinic, for example. Now what you're doing is a car care clinic in a school with some high school students. The idea is to get somebody who just got their first car to come to your shop and eventually, hopefully, become a customer for life. Not only do you have the students there, but you have some parents that may be there as well, and some teachers as well. So you want to teach them the basics of the automobile, how to get their vehicle to last long. They just got their first car. They can't picture buying another car after this one. So in order to keep your vehicle in top running condition, talk about performance, because a lot of them want good performance, and educate them how to maintain that vehicle. Hands-on is really important. They want to see you do things, maybe come up and demonstrate to somebody how to check their transmission fluid, how to check their oil or their tire pressures or rotate. The idea is to get exposure for your business to students and parents, and hopefully some of those students are going to go on to become customers, hopefully for life.
Oh, sorry about that. The plug had undone itself. I was just blown away, by the way. I had no idea. I didn't do the editing for this. Of course, I don't have that skill and ability. It was done in a green screen studio. But one of the clients that I just saw, James Allen, who I've known for many, many years, is actually in that picture helping the kids out. I didn't know that. When you listen to the Increasing Car Count webinar that I'm sending to you, this is taking longer to go through the 33, but again, I'm going to send you the entire Increased Car Count. In there, I talk about a fellow that was doing 0.67 hours per repair order. He worked on approximately, and I don't exaggerate, approximately 70 to 80 cars per day. And by the way, another thing I'm going to send you, load up your printer, but is a short little webinar, I apologize, a little video that was shot at a session that James Allen was at, and it's about overbooking. Very, very short, and such a good thing to show your staff. But James Allen, that guy who was showing those kids that thing, was actually the guy that I was talking about at 0.67 hours per day.
One of the most clever things I've learned from somebody in a training session was they held an event specifically for the Boy Scouts. Since then, I've seen people who've done it for the Girl Guides as well. There's a merit badge that they now have, didn't have it when I was a kid, but it's about automotive maintenance. And basically what you do is you invite the local Girl Guides and Boy Scouts, different times of course. You plan it well in advance. Planning has a lot to do with a lot of opportunities to increase car count. You want to do it on a day where you're not busy or working, you don't want machinery and cars coming in and out because of the liability. The shop that I go to, he had the Girl Guides come to his shop. It was on a Saturday morning, and the girls loved looking anything that moved, like the brake lathe or whatever. They wanted to see things moving. The idea is that you help them get their badge and understand when their kids are there, they're there with their parents usually, and the troop leaders as well. Girl Guides, Boy Scouts, same thing. An opportunity to help these kids learn about maintenance early. You help them get their merit badge. They appreciate the fact that you help them get the merit badge. And here's again an opportunity to expose your business to Girl Guides, Boy Scouts by helping them get their badges.
Customer Appreciation Day. If you don't do this, I'm going to suggest you do it once a year at least.
Just a couple weeks ago, I got a card from my bank saying Customer Appreciation Day. It's something that a lot of businesses are doing, taking a day and say, this is Customer Appreciation Day. And we recommend that we do that as well. Something you promote in advance, you plan it in advance, maybe it's once a year, maybe you hold it on a Saturday. You probably don't want it on a day that the shop is open. And you invite your customers out to a barbecue and get them to invite friends as well and family to come out to your event. provide them with some good quality food, maybe some music. It's a simple opportunity to appreciate your customers. There's no coupons, there's no discounting. It's simply saying, you're a great customer, we really appreciate you, and we're doing this event because we appreciate the business that you provide for us. How do you promote the event? What we're looking at is the same way we do other types of marketing on our website, so it's not always exactly the same. An email to our customer, our database, saying Customer Appreciation Day is coming up in June. One of my clients, he calls it Sauerkraut Saturdays because he works on VWs, and everybody knows what Sauerkraut Saturday is about. The idea is to have it on your website, on your invoices, so I get my invoice, I go, oh yeah, Sauerkraut Saturday or Customer Appreciation Day is coming up again. I got an email just yesterday from my buddy who just had his 11th Customer Appreciation Day. You want to simply take the time to appreciate your customers, but you don't want to spend a lot of money advertising the event. So things they're seeing anyway, a sign at the shop, invoice, website, simply let your customers know it's Customer Appreciation Day and you'd love to see them there.
Sauerkraut Saturdays. Probably a lot of people don't like sauerkraut. I love this stuff. My mouth's watering. This one's kind of cute.
Too often when we think about increasing car count, we're thinking about somebody who's never been to our shop before. That's part of it. But it's the other people who come to our shop, but they don't come often enough. And they need to be reminded. Us consumers, we don't spend a lot of time thinking about our cars. Life is busy. 3 kids, 8 sporting events a week. We're thinking about other things. So it's about you communicating with me on a regular basis that I hear from you. A great way to do that is with greeting cards. And there's the obvious ones, Christmas, etc. Our favorite is a Thanksgiving card that you send to your customers. Last year, how many Christmas cards did you receive? Did you go through and see who gave you a card, who didn't give you a card, and make a note of that? Probably not, because you got a lot of them. How many Thanksgiving cards did you receive last year? Probably none. If it's about scoring points, and it is about scoring points, we recommend that you do something that other people aren't doing. So send out a thank you card at Thanksgiving, simply saying, it's Thanksgiving time, we'd like to thank you for your business. Other opportunities, of course, if you know the person's birthday, you can send them a birthday card. A lot of companies you'll notice today are asking for your birth date without the year. A lot of people feel uncomfortable about the year, but I don't mind telling you the date and the month. One shop that I was at does something really clever, and they send a card out to your car. They find out the month of manufacturer, and they send out a happy birthday card. On the envelope it says the name of your car, year, make, and model, and on the inside it says happy birthday to the car. So lots of opportunities to send people, again, to be top of mind, to send them greeting cards from your shop. Make sure the envelopes are handwritten. You don't want something that looks like it's typed, and each card individually signed. I love to get the ones from Christmas cards, just some samples that you'll see here, and people are sending them out with pictures. I love this one particular shop. They send out a Christmas card every single year, and the photos of the staff are there, and it's really neat to go, oh, I like to get this card because it's not just a Christmas card, it's got the photos of the staff. So greeting cards is another way to get people who already come into your shop to come in more frequently because you're putting your name in front of them more often.
Another one I just learned is a client that actually finds out which month you became a customer, and they send you an anniversary card. So it's your 3rd anniversary here, or whatever it might be. This one. Almost done these, just so you know.
Well, some of our customers are a little OCD and they have every single thing filed neatly. We know a lot of our customers, you open the glove box to find the wheel tool lock or owner's manual, and it's full of papers. We recommend, especially when the customer's in for the first time, is provide them with a file folder. If they're a VIC customer, a very important customer, you want to make sure that's on the file folder, not for a reminder to us because the file folder is theirs. It's a reminder to themselves that they feel good because they're a very important customer at that repair shop. We've put your receipt in here for today. In fact, as your whole history is now in there. Another thing, of course, is you could do it on a flash stick, helping you keep organized that way. Maybe you put it on the keychain. You've got a memory stick that has the entire history. Another thing that we highly recommend is that at the end of the year, you send a customer an email with a complete statement inside of that with all of their vehicle expenses for the year. There's a lot of people that are salespeople or they're traveling, self-employed, and they need a breakdown of all of the money they spent in automotive repair. A lot of people don't keep those receipts. Life is busy. Again, we're talking about helping our customers be organized, and they realize that we take that one step further and help them stay organized. I've never received one, but I think it would be pretty neat at the end of the year, say, here's your statement of automotive repair for the entire year.
I was going through some paperwork the other day, scanning a bunch of things, and I don't exaggerate. We were with Arrows Automotive with our van, and we had 500,000 kilometers on it by the end. And ended up giving it away, but it was a mistake. I wish we would have kept it. But anyway, I found the receipts, and we spent $24,000 at his shop because I have a statement, and that wasn't even all of them.
One of the type of customers that we don't see sometimes, or not enough, is the person who thinks about oil changes and brings it to, let's say, a quick loop. What is an LOF? It's a labor opportunity of the future. I've been to some shops where they say if it's just an oil change, bring it someplace else, and I totally disagree with that. I think we need to be competitive with our pricing. Perception is reality to the customer. Some people call you and their question is, how much is an oil change? If your oil change is expensive, oh, you're an expensive shop. They charge that much just for an oil change. So I believe that we should offer 3 levels of oil changes: a silver, maybe a gold, and a platinum. The silver one is going to include, of course, lower grade oil, possibly a lower grade oil filter, because that's what they're going to get if they go someplace else for that lower price. When you go to a quick loop, and I've been there to see the experience, they offer 3 levels of oil changes, and I believe we should do the exact same thing. One way of educating our customers about this could be on your website or a sign on the wall. Now, I'm not a huge fan of lots of signs, but this one's important to be able to show a customer what's included in a silver oil change, and it'll be several items, basically basics. Under gold, you're going to list the services, of course, which is going to be more so than you're going to offer in the silver package, maybe if you believe in those semi-synthetic processes, and it might be more of an inspection that goes along with that. With the platinum package, possibly it's going to be full synthetic oil, a higher quality filter, and explain to the customer why that's beneficial. Maybe it's a more detailed inspection. Maybe it includes a brake inspection. When the customer's there, I believe we need to educate the customer. We have a certified technician, a licensed technician who's going to properly inspect the vehicle. If there's anything wrong with the vehicle, we will point it out to you when we do this inspection. I'm sure you want us to look over the vehicle, so to speak. And a lot of customers say that to you. When you do an oil change, you do look it over correctly. It's not just looking it over. It is having a qualified technician who's going to inspect the vehicle, inspect it correctly. Another opportunity is to educate customers about synthetic oils and the benefits of synthetic oils. So again, we want to attract people who are bringing their vehicles to other places for LOFs. Again, a labor opportunity of the future. We have a full service shop. We're able to do those services right on site. And a lot of times, you know what it's like. The customer at the end of the day comes and you say, by the way, your vehicle needs this, this, and this. And they say, why didn't you phone me? Now I'm going to have to come back on another day. So we believe we should do those oil changes in the morning, scheduled out, have them, encourage them to leave the vehicle with you. So when we do the inspection, we can offer that by a phone call. It's really difficult to try to sell somebody additional work when they're sitting there waiting in the waiting room. One of the things you want to do is meet with your staff, have a meeting with the technicians, the advisors, owners, and managers, and say, we're going to develop 3 levels of oil changes. The techs have to do it, so you want them to buy into it. But from a marketing strategy to increase car count, what we're simply doing is getting customers who typically bring the vehicle to a quick loop, because the perception is they'll save time and save money, and educate customers, advertise 3 levels of inspection, so when they call your shop, your oil change price is similar to one that they're hearing someplace else, which their perception, again, reality, is that you're not that expensive because your oil change is similar to other people.
So that one, a lot of that one has to do with making every car count. And just recently, I was looking at some information online about synthetic services, and there's a neat thing that I saw from Angie's List that explains synthetic and why you should get that done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the link to that as well, and it'd be kind of a neat thing to add to your website. I'm going to cover 2 more of these. and then I'm just going to briefly look at the big picture of making every car count, and then I'm going to again show you. Okay, there's so many good ones here. Let's do package deals. This is one of my favorites. This is about
full meal deals. People have very little time today. People are in a hurry, rushing around more so than ever before. Again, it's about one-stop shopping. We want to be able to offer our customers packages. Now, in reality, there's 4 things that we want to focus on when it comes to marketing and increasing car count. The first, of course, is to get customers to your shop who've never been there before, and we're looking at opportunities to do that. The second is to bring them back more often. We want a customer that usually comes in twice a year to come in 4 times a year, or 3 times a year at best if they're only coming in a second. The third is to increase the average invoice per visit. There's billions of dollars of needed work driving around in our streets. There's no shortage of cars. There's no shortage of work. Sometimes we just didn't find the work that was there. In fact, statistically, for every $1 in maintenance and repairs your shop does, $7 in needed repairs leaves. The fourth is to increase gross profit. I've had people in workshops say, just a second, number 3 and number 4 are the same. They are not. It is possible that you can make your package so compelling that even though you collected more money, you actually shrunk your gross profit because you made the deal too compelling. I think the industry that's got this figured out the best is the fast food industry. You take a look at these large companies that are in the fast food business. These fast food restaurants spend billions of dollars to get us to go to them if we've never been there before. But they also, in that same advertising, bring back something they used to have. This is back for a limited time only. What they're trying to do is to get us back to them more often. But where they're brilliant is the third, and we know it's the full meal deal. The ability to buy more of a package. They don't want to just sell us an order of fries or just a burger. Pay attention to the marketing genius of these fast food restaurants. We are trained to read from left to right, not from right to left. If you've never paid attention to it, take a look at what's to the left and take a look at what's to the right. You will notice the packages are to the left and the menu items are smaller font without photos on the right-hand side. They want you to make this decision before you make this decision. So when you look at the packages, you'll notice there's the biggest font, the best picture, the biggest picture. What they're doing is they're trying to get us to buy the full meal. But then how do they increase gross profit? That's where the biggie size, the super size, or making your meal bigger. Now, what are they doing when they're offering you that? They're not giving you an Angus patty instead of a smaller patty. They're not giving you a second one. Beef is the lowest gross profit item that they have. So what they do is they offer you more of the higher gross profit items, the popper soda, whatever you want to call it, and the French fries. The gross profit of soda is absolutely huge. We can do the exact same thing. We can take packages, and here's where creativity comes in. In your staff meetings, we encourage you to have your staff brainstorm together and say, what packages can we create? We recommend that you create 12 packages and that you focus on 1 a month. We're not talking about specials. We're not talking about giving people a deal. We're simply talking about putting the entire package together. What are we doing? Taking lower gross profit items like an oil service, packaging them with fluid flushes, etc., the higher gross profit items, and making it a package. The nice thing about doing that is it doesn't become competitive because you're offering a package that somebody else doesn't provide. So here's an opportunity for a customer to come to your shop, and of course we do things to get them back more often, but the real selling happens when they're there. The opportunity to sell the packages that we've created. You can have the promotion of the month and focusing on the upcoming season. It might be AC, or it might be about saving money on fuel, or having your vehicle ready for the winter, whatever it is. You can have an anniversary package, and you know that your shop started in March, and so your anniversary package is in that month every single year. You can have different packages throughout the year, a Thanksgiving package, whatever. The idea is to have these people come into your shop and getting more work done when they're there, and we're talking about work that needs to be done. There is zero need to sell something that doesn't need to be done. Billions of dollars driving around in our streets. It's partly our fault because we haven't found the work. And remember again, $1 in, $7 out. We need to stop that from happening. It makes our street safer, and it allows the customer to get more work done per visit, benefit to them, and of course it's more profitable for our shop.
Well, I said that with passion, I just realized. I was KFC, I'm not a huge fan, but I was driving by one the other day and it said spicy mayo is back. And I thought, why did you take it away in the first place? I mean, really, it can't be that difficult. I just want to show just one more. And that would be Vic, because I mentioned Vic earlier. And so let's take a look at Vic.
Vic. You may not know Vic, but he's a very important customer. There's customers that come to you because they know you, they like you, and they trust you. They're not going anyplace else. You don't see an oil change sticker from another facility on their car. You don't see tires on the car that you didn't install. They know you, they like you, they trust you, they keep on coming back. What do you do for these customers? One of the things you can do at a staff meeting is to say, we're going to create a VIP, or in this case, a VIC, a very important customer program. What should we do? What are some of the things that we can do for our best customers? Here's one of the problems, and I'm sure you've seen it. You know a customer, they've been dealing with you 12 years. Now you have a service advisor who doesn't know them. They're on their counter, they're new. A customer that spent a lot of money with you, who you know by name, walks in the door, the advisor has no idea that this person is incredibly important. How do you communicate that? One of the things that we recommend with the VIC program is to get a keychain, a really nice quality one, or possibly a memory stick. I have a client, that's what he does, is he has memory sticks that he buys with the logo of the kind of vehicle they have. So, for example, the one he gave me is a Mercedes. So my customer comes in and say, you know, you are absolutely one of our most important customers. You've been incredibly loyal to us. We're going to provide you with this gift. It's a memory stick, 2 gigs or whatever. And of course it has your logo on there. And tell you what we've done. We've taken your entire vehicle history and we've put it onto this stick. If you ever go to sell the vehicle, some people want the history. Well, when you sell them the vehicle, they're going to get the keys, and that memory stick would be there with all of the history. You go into some stores today, they say, would you like a receipt, or would you like the receipt on your memory stick or emailed to you? So that's another opportunity. Instead of giving them paper, it reduces costs and of course good for the environment, but an opportunity to have the receipt on that. So now I'm a new advisor. I don't know your customers, but a customer walks in, they hand me the keys, I see that memory stick, and I instantly know this is one of your top 10% of your customers, or top 15. The other thing can happen with your technicians. They're working on a car, they don't know that this customer's vehicle, this vehicle that's in front of them, a customer to them, is one of the most important customers the shop has. So we recommend that under the hood, you have a decal or decal, depending on where you are, what word you use, under the hood. So when the technician opens that car, they instantly know this is a VIC customer, a very important customer, and we know internally they're top 10, top 50%. And of course the keys do that for you as well, because when the technician grabs the keys with the repair order or work order, whatever you want to call it, they realize that this is one of the most important customers. The idea is find out who your best customers are. Maybe the ones that spend the most, maybe the ones that bring in you more vehicles, maybe the ones that come in more frequently. Whatever way you determine who a VIC is. But sit down, create a program, make it a formal program, and find out what are we going to do for our very important customers. And maybe it's those people that you give highest priority to the loaner cars that you have. Maybe it's those people that you're going to send the Thanksgiving card to for sure, or maybe the birthday card. You want to separate. We're not talking about discounting. We're not talking about, oh, you spend a lot of money, here's 10% off. We're not talking about that. We're talking about rewarding them. People love status. I earned something. It's when you're an airline customer and you become a platinum customer. You didn't just get that, you earned it. Some businesses you go into, they give you a card that says VIP. It's my first time here. I'm not a VIP yet. But when you see that medallion card or that silver card or that gold card, you know that you've earned it. So it makes people feel good about themselves, and it's a way to communicate to our entire staff that that person, that vehicle, is a great customer. They're spending a lot of money, and we need to go over and above with the service we provide to them.
You know, I want to say that, in my career, I traveled maybe 2,300 flights, something like that, lots. And I learned to be loyal with airlines. And what I've learned what they do is they make it almost impossible for you to go someplace else because they treat you so well. And you get the shorter lineup and you get, the priority tag on your luggage. They lose yours faster than anybody else's, it seems. But they don't give you a discount. They give you priority service, and when we earn loyalty, we just get trained better. So what I want to do is when I move on, we've actually covered, I think, over 33. And when I set this up, I thought we'd do half of the 65 because it's on the subject of making every car count. What I want to do is take a quick look at this planner and the notes that I gave you that I sent you. Again, I'm going to send you the webinar that goes along with that because both of these were designed to be almost 2-hour sessions each. The one thing I do want to point out in the handouts was the average annual cost of owning an automobile. Now, the most current data that I had was 2012, and that was Canadian, but it's not much different than it is in the US. It says the annual cost of owning a car in Canada is about $10,452. It shows that the vehicle depreciation, which is the highest of any, is 20 cents a kilometer, $3,300. Fuel costs, of course, their fuel costs at the time were $1.23 a liter, so pretty close to what they are right now. Financing charges, auto insurance is pretty small. Maintenance and repair, 7 cents a kilometer. And so maintenance is not really that much compared to the depreciation and the finance charges. And so it makes a lot of sense for people to fix an older car in most cases than to go out and buy a brand new one that's going to depreciate very quickly. And there's some great information online from AMA or CAA or whatever organization you have that'll show how much you should spend. And I recall years ago that it was, if your car was worth $3,000, it made sense. Now, if the floorboards are rusted out or the engine's toast, that's maybe different. But you said if your car's worth $3,000, it makes sense to spend $1,500. And then it gradually got up to dollar for dollar. So even if your car was worth $3,000, they thought it was still worth $3,000 to put into that car, and instead of buying another one. And with that van that we had, well, it was a Chrysler, so we went through 2 transmissions in addition to the first one, but the engine went. And Errol, the shop I went to, tried to talk me out of it. He said, Kelly, you shouldn't put an engine in. I said, I want an engine. He said, don't do it. And I said, look, I'm getting an engine for this vehicle. It'll be from you. It'll be from somebody else. And he looked at me like I'm nuts to spend that much money. Well, one thing about that Chrysler minivan, we traveled across the country and all across the U.S. and put tens of thousands of kilometers on it. I can tell you it's the most comfortable vehicle I've ever had in my entire life. If you've ever driven a PT Loser for even 10 kilometers, it's painful. But when we gave it away, I actually missed it. Long story, when it hit 500,000 kilometers, Errol said, Kelly, when you put that engine in, you did make the right decision. So I don't think we should discourage somebody from fixing an older vehicle unless we know for sure there's huge issues with it. But I think we need to do a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper inspection and to let them know the true condition of that vehicle before they go ahead with an expensive repair. And just to let you know, I'm going to send you some vehicle inspections. There's a few in the package I sent you. I just want to take a brief look here at the second one, which is increasing your average invoice and then increasing gross profit. I'm just going to cover it from this particular list. And again, it's going to go into a lot more detail. I don't want to just go through the workbook. You're going to see the training that goes along with that anyway. So the third way of marketing your business, again, number 1, bring the people in. Number 2, get them back more often. Number 3, get them to spend more per invoice. And you see that the average person spend $1,200 with a, this chart, by the way, was all years, makes, and models. The average person is going to spend between $1,200 and $1,400 for the types of vehicles that we work on. If you've never done that or done this, I'm going to encourage you to go through your database and find out what percentage of your vehicles are 2018, 2017, and back to whatever. And you'll notice that the bulk of your vehicles is probably somewhere between 4 and 7 years old, maybe a little higher than that, depending on where you're at. But you want to be able to capitalize on the $1,500 they're going to spend anyway. Let's get them to spend it all at our shop. Line 41 there, just on the spreadsheet that I'm looking at here, walk around inspections. I'm sending you some more information. I know in your notes there's walk around inspection. We believe that every single time a vehicle drives up to your shop, you should walk out to that vehicle and do a walk around inspection. Now, if you're super busy, maybe you don't have time for that, but we do recommend that you spread out your appointments in the morning. I find a lot of people practice what I call 8 and wait, which doesn't mean you go to the shop at 8 and wait for your oil change to be done. You go there at 8 and realize that it's the multi-appointment and several people are there at 8 o'clock because you open at 8. And now we're waiting in the lineup and you're stressed out. And so it's just give me the keys and we'll call you or whatever. You just want to get to the last person in the line. But if you spread out those appointments, 8:10, 8:20, 8:30, 8:40, of course, we want everybody in the morning. And it'll go into more detail in that training session. But the idea is if you spread out the appointments, you've got 10 minutes in between each appointment. You walk out to the vehicle, you do the walk around inspection, you compliment the vehicle, you get the mileage to find out maybe they need the oil change today, and we can point that out to them right now. Maybe we can notice tire wear. They have a trailer hitch. We can find out what they haul. Maybe they need a transmission cooler, whatever. And of course, you can find any scratches or dents or anything with the vehicle and maybe point that out so they don't blame me for doing that. We believe number 42 here, is at least it's 42 on the list that we use in this spreadsheet, is a written cursory inspection on every single vehicle. Now, even some people that I know that I would consider to be elite shops who do a lot of things really well have said, you know what, our inspection process is hit and miss. We don't do it consistently. We believe there should be a written cursory inspection every single time. And in some places where there's a safety inspection or a state inspection or provincial inspection or out of province inspection in Canada, the law does not allow a technician to draw a line straight down the checklist. I picked up my vehicle from a shop one time, actually used to use it as samples in classes and say, look at this, they did this 22-point inspection by taking the pen from the top right down to the bottom. I kind of doubt any of it was actually inspected. They are required by law to put a check mark under each of those or cross through it, so they can't just draw a line down. And so you want to make sure that the technicians are inspecting every vehicle every single time. Now, if they were in yesterday and they're back today for whatever, well, you don't need to do it again today. But we do want to inspect the vehicle each time it comes. And I believe in it so strongly that if a technician hands in a work order from a completed job and it does not have the inspection to go along with it filled in, you have the right to politely hand that back and say, this is incomplete, we need to get this. Of course, you could do it on a tablet as well. Seasonal inspections, we recommend, of course, that you have all 4 of those, and you are going to get samples of spring, summer, fall, winter. Those are inspections that we charge for, and typically they're a glorified oil change with a tire rotation or brake inspection as well. Comprehensive vehicle inspections, I'm sending you a 4-page comprehensive vehicle inspection and a list of 18 opportunities to sell those. If you printed off the handouts already, I think that one's in that extra handout. And we believe that every single day there are opportunities to sell somebody a comprehensive vehicle inspection. The one we think about the most is the pre-purchase, where a person comes to you and says, hey, Patty, I'm looking at buying this van. Can you inspect it for me? Well, that doesn't mean Patty sold me an inspection. No, she did not. I bought one. When I walk in and say, I want this, you can't say you sold it. But if I walk up or drive up to your shop and I have a for sale sign on my vehicle and Patty says, oh, Kelly, I see you're selling the vehicle. Have you had an opportunity to have the vehicle inspected so you can prove that it's worth what you're wanting to sell it for? When a person's going on a trip, coming back from a trip, the vehicle's been shipped or whatever, again, there's a list of 18 opportunities to sell comprehensive vehicle inspections. My favorite, I always talk about my favorite, is the annual physical. Just like we are trained to have annual physicals on our bodies, we recommend that we do an annual physical for our customer, and we do a bumper-to-bumper comprehensive inspection, far more detailed than one we're going to do, each time the vehicle's in for an oil change. Another one, headlight restoration. When I bought my vehicle, my latest vehicle, about 1.5 years ago, the first thing I did is I drove from there to a place and I had them install better halogen lights. I wanted the best because I'm driving through the mountains and I don't want bad headlights. And then I noticed sometime after that, like just in the last few weeks actually, that they really need to be restored. I didn't notice it initially. Nobody pointed out to me, which would be good at your shop to always have that on your inspection and say, we do recommend, Jim, that you have your headlights restored. I was driving through the mountains a little while ago. It was bad with the weather and, things were the headlights. Now I know why some cars have headlights that have little wiper blades on them, but the roads were so bad I had to stop a few times and wipe off the headlights. By the way, I always keep those wipes in the car for the purpose of that. And by the way, that's an idea that you could buy the little packages of wipes and put a logo on there, with a little sticker from the name of your shop and say, hey, we gave this to you, headlights, and they can get really dirty sometimes. And what are you going to clean them off with? Not everybody has snow on the side of the road they can do that with. So headlight restoration is a great opportunity to increase your average invoice by doing that. This next one, windshield chip repair, I think every shop should invest in a very simple, fairly inexpensive windshield chip repair equipment. Quick story, my son had a friend who got kicked out of his house, and he was living with us. And one day he comes in, and he's got this yellow toolbox. The first day he moved in, I said, what's that? He said, oh, I do windshield chip repair. I said, really? Where did you learn that? He said, oh, 2-hour course, and now I'm an expert. And he's one of those guys that sits under one of those orange or yellow tents in the parking lots of malls and does the windshield chip repair. And so you can buy your own kit. And so when a vehicle comes in, you do the walk around inspection and you notice a windshield chip. You can say, oh, by the way, I noticed you have a chip in the windshield. We have the equipment to do that right here. We can do it for you today. It's only this much money. And of course, it's an opportunity to have that done before it starts to get worse and beyond repair. Windshield replacement is something, again, when you're doing the walk around inspection, you can say, oh, by the way, I noticed there's a crack in your windshield. Would you like us to take care of that? And that's probably not something you're going to do internally, but it's something that you could sublet out where you become a one-stop shop. Safety steering, one of our clients, I thought it was kind of neat. There's a product on the market. I don't know the detail. I'm not a technician, but his father was driving an RV and a big gust of wind came up and he almost lost control. And there's safety steering. I'll find out what exactly it's called and send you the link to it. But it's something that can be done to a vehicle to help prevent that from happening. And what a great service to provide to people if they drive fairly large vehicles that are subject to getting a lot of wind or RVs, etc. And again, there's the 3 levels of inspection as well. And just because I'd like to just go through the other points that I have here, again, this is a spreadsheet that's different than the handouts. So I thought I'd go through this because you're going to see some things that we've covered there that are actually not in that handout. You're going to see that video anyway. The full meal deal, I believe that we should create full meal deals. I talked about it in the video where you take packages and put them together and you put high gross profit items. And in a live session, if it's a marketing class, I will say, okay, we've gone through this. You know some stuff here. Now you're going to create your own packages. The expression is if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. To quote Donald Trump, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you deport him, you never feed him again. Sorry, somebody said that this week with Trump dressed up like the Pope. Anyway, can't resist. But it was so funny. Pope 2020 is the verse they quoted from the Bible. Anyway, move on, Kelly. So in the class, we'll say create a package. You've got 15 minutes in your little group of 3 or 4 or 5 people, whatever it is. You're going to create a package. You're going to name the package. You're going to indicate what parts are going to be in that package. You're going to indicate the approximate cost on those parts. You're going to indicate how long it's going to take to accomplish the labor, what the labor is going to cost you, what you're going to charge for it. And I want you to get at least 60 to 70% gross profit on your package. Go. And they look at me like, no way. And I've never seen a group where they couldn't do it. Within 15 minutes, come up with a package, really creative, what's included, what the gross profit was going to be. One of my favorites was one in Vancouver, British Columbia. They created a package called I Can See Clearly Now. And what they would do is headlight restoration. They would change your bulb if it needed, of course. The bulbs, if you had cheaper bulbs, they put in the good halogen bulbs, which is good for safety. They did Rain-X on your windshield, maybe replace the windshield if it was cracked. And it was called the I Can See Clearly Now package. They created it in 15 minutes, and they knew exactly what the gross profit is. So in your staff meetings, we suggest you have weekly staff meetings and say, tell you what, today we're going to create a package. You've got the owner, maybe the manager, service advisor, technicians. Let's do it together. What package can we create? It could be a safety package, a pre-trip package, saving money on fuel package, whatever it is. So you bundle those together. It becomes your full meal deal. And then there's the supersize. What are the higher gross profit items you're going to put into a lower gross profit item like an oil change. And it works really well to make sure that you're not just charging more, but you're selling more of your highest gross profit items. 3 levels of oil change, you saw it briefly in the video. I've got some samples that I'm going to send you. We did a study of that with a part company back, I believe, in 1988, something like that, in Spokane. We did, well, it was the part company that did it, silver, gold, platinum. And they found that 87% of the customers chose the one in the middle. They didn't want the cheap oil change, and they didn't want the most expensive oil change. They wanted the one in the middle. And it was calculated that the gross profit was the same on the second or third package. So it didn't matter if they bought the gold or the platinum, you made the same amount of money. And from a psychological perspective, and we've all seen it in stores where you go to look at an item and there's a really cheap one, knockoff brand maybe, and there's one in the middle, and then there's usually a really expensive one. Well, the expensive one, yeah, if they sell it, great, but the purpose of that is to sell the one in the middle so you don't buy the one on the left. Because the one in the middle looks expensive, but compared to that one, my God, this is a really good price. It's brilliant psychological marketing. We can do the exact same thing with the whole purpose is to get people to buy the one that's in the middle. Factory recommended service. We need to sell those. Again, repairs are bought, maintenance is sold. If I go into your shop, Jim, and you are doing, or I go into your shop, I should say, and my brakes are grinding as I drive in, you don't need to sell me brakes. I'm buying brakes, no, unless I'm a total idiot and think I might get them cheaper someplace else. We've seen a little bit of that in our world, but most people are going to buy brakes today because I need them. But if I walk into your, drive into your shop, walk into the shop and from the car, and you go out to the car and you notice that I have 60,000 miles or close to, or 96,000 kilometers, and you point out that the manufacturer of the automobile recommends these services be performed, and you explain what it is and the benefits of those, and you'll see it in the other video. There's 7 major benefits of factory recommended service. You explain that to the customer, you give them price, we can take care of that for you today. That's selling. That's not a person walking in and saying, hey, I'm here for my 60,000 mile service. Transmission flushes is something that's a really good service, I believe, to provide. I know there's still some doubters out there, but by the way, just for the record, I find a lot of times what happens is a person comes to your shop and they have a transmission problem already. This is not designed as a repair. This is designed as a maintenance item. So people say, well, I got that done, and the next thing you know, my transmission went. Well, you tried to save the transmission by not doing preventive maintenance, so transmission flushes are really maintenance. And the other one, of course, is the 3 levels of LOF. One thing I just want to do, and I'm not a commercial guy, Patty, you know that. I've seen some people go to courses and it's $400 to get in and what, $16,000 to get out. But because I'm showing you this, I want to make it really clear what this is a tool that I designed specifically for our online management group. If that's something that's of interest to you, I can contact you and let you know how the online management group works. Patty's our newest member, and Andy, her husband. Yep. And so we've got January, February, all the way across. And guess what? It goes all the way till December. I thought that was great. Sorry, I'm just trying to be funny. At night, I get a little goofy. And then the week numbers there. And the reason I did that, just so you know, is when you're going to do something, Patty, you and I worked on this. When you're going to design something, let's say you're going to design a flyer, well, you're not going to do that necessarily just in March. Maybe you're going to do that the second week in March. And so you would indicate when you're going to do that. So what you do is you take all of these items and then you decide where you're going to do it. And for the purpose of the video that's on the bottom, I just thought it was more of a clever idea just to make it simple, is let's say you were going to do the car care clinics. All you need to do is take that and bring it up and say, okay, we're going to do that, and let's put it here. And we decided we're going to do that, let's say in the second week of April. And so we're going to design the flyer and whatever that you're going to end up doing next. So the idea is that you plan when you're going to do these things. If you're going to do 30 of the 65, you're not going to do all 30 in the next 30 days. On my action plans, I write, my quote is this: it's better to do a few things all of the way than a bunch of things halfway. And there's a lot of half-baked stuff that's done in our lives. It's just human nature. But in business, we need to plan it out so it's not going to be rushed. It's something that's going to be done, and it's going to be done consistently. So the question is, what are you going to do to get people in more often? And what month or week of the month are you going to do that? What are you going to do to bring them back in more often? And for example, the donut pizza popcorn program. So what I thought of here is, let's say you're going to do the bank here, and then the next 2 weeks you're going to do the hotel that's in your area or whatever. And so you know in advance, over the course of a year, you're going to do pizza, donut, popcorn with 12 businesses, or 24 or 48 or whatever that works out to. And just to let you know, then it goes into the increase your average invoice, and there's samples that go along with every single one of these. And then there's a whole bunch of things on social media, which we don't get into here because we've covered so much already, but Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all of those kinds of things. What are you going to do as far as social media goes, and when are you going to start doing it? The seasonal promotions, planning those in advance so that it's not, oh my God, it's already spring, let's do a spring promotion. You've already got the flyer design in advance and you know when it's going to go out. And then, of course, all the rest of the seasonal things. And just so you know, on the bottom, as I've been doing here, it includes every single link to the 65 ways to increase car count. So you look on here and you say, okay, billboards, what's that one about? And all you do is click right on there and it brings you right to the video. And just to let you know, this entire package comes with a webinar that explains this in more detail as far as what you do to bring in customers, bring them back more often, increase your average invoice, increase your average ticket, and a bunch of the samples that go along with that. And just so you know, I do a 90-minute one-on-one coaching session at the beginning of it, and then we follow up approximately a month later with another 90-minute session. And so I'll send you the details on that. And just to let you know, that entire package it doesn't come with a Jinsu knife, but it's $485, which includes the 3 hours of coaching, the spreadsheet planner itself, the 65 ways to increase car count, all of these samples. And because you already bought this one for $105, I'm going to do a promotion for $375. So I'll send that information out to you. The idea is to take and plan it in advance. Too often in small business, we do things by the seat of our pants. Even some really smart operators that I've talked to in the last while that I said, I want to show you something. And trust me, this has been well over 100 hours of the work putting this whole thing together, especially with all the stuff in the 3 days spent in the studio. But I've talked to some super smart operators, and they say the area that we are the weakest in is marketing. We just do it by the seat of the pants. Oh, it's slow. What are we going to do to get cars in now? Well, you want to take care of that in advance. And as I mentioned, I did that interview with Jim Voigt, who has been the king of pre-booking appointments. The video talks about an email that he sent me that I read in the Cars Convention in Las Vegas in 2005. That was in November. And he already had 44 pre-booked appointments for February of the next year. Why? Because he hated February. He hated February. He told me his dad hated February, and his dad's dad hated February. And I said, well, I'm not going to say this to you directly, but the person who trained me, Bob O'Connor, if you told him that all 3 generations have hated February, he would look at you and say, oh, so you've known this for 3 generations and you haven't done anything about it. Well, in the interview, Jim talks about how he's taken care of that. February is just as good as any other month in the year because he takes care of it earlier. And at any given time, he will have over 700 pre-booked appointments. And what I like about what he does is you're in for the spring, he books your summer. When you're there for the summer, he books the fall. When your tires are put on, your winter tires are put on, he books the appointment to have them taken off. When they take off your winter tires, they book the appointment in October instead of coming in November when it's busy. And he books the appointment and contacts you a week in advance and say, hey, we're going to beat the season. As you know, your appointment's next week. What day works for you? There's a lot of things that you could do to run your business better from a marketing perspective. So with that, I'm gonna end it. I apologize. We went well over the time that, and actually, I'm going to say that I didn't put a time on the flyer. Somebody said, how long is it? And I thought, oh, I didn't say. That's good, because I always go over. But I'm going to open it up to questions, and I'm going to unmute the microphones if you have any questions. And I tell you what, for the purpose of